At some point in midlife, many of us realize that the roles we've been playing at work, at home, in our lives no longer hold the weight that they used to. It's the end of 2025, and it's been a tumultuous year for me personally and professionally. A year where I learned a lot, not just from my own life, but from many of my clients, from every guest who came on the Midlife Remix. In this episode, I step back and take stock of this year with highlights from my guests and what shifted in how I think about work, identity, and meaning. This is the theme of our generation. We're at this stage in our lives where we still have kids that we're caring for. We also have aging parents that are declining very quickly, and we need to take care of them. We have these jobs that are often very complicated and very time consuming. We're at this point where we're like, this can't be it. We did everything right, what we were supposed to do. We get to this point where we're in this midlife, somehow it's not adding up.
The funny thing about LinkedIn and resumes is they focus on achievements and success. What has defined me more than anything that I've been successful at is failures and things that didn't go well. Fear can help to light the way towards a better understanding of what's really important in life, what you want to focus on. When my mind, my head, and my heart are aligned, then I feel a lot of joy and love in my heart. I feel good about what I'm doing. And when they're not, I don't.
We're the architects of our life, you know? And I think the first half of my life, I was driven by my ego and my younger self. Like, I need to achieve these things. And in my second half of my career, I'm saying I'm driven by my soul. I'm listening to my intuition a lot more. The most important thing they can do in their career is get to know themselves, understand that they're the most, like, the relationship they have with their thoughts, the relationship they have with their brain and how they think is the most important investment they should make.
The people that their life is basically their identity is related to their work. When that work goes away, many of them get lost. And for a whole bunch of reasons, to your point. One is a sense of purpose for them. It's a sense of importance, provides an opportunity to grow and learn, make a difference, make some money. The clearer you are on what you're going to move to, right, as opposed to what you're moving away from, the better off the transition's going to go. Most of the people run out of meaning before they run out of money. I know the days may feel long, but the years are short.
I think the secret to pivoting, it's figuring out how to mourn the identity that you're saying goodbye to. Loss accompanies everything in our lives, great things. And when we don't honor that loss or pay attention to it, it metastasizes into resentment and other horrible things. So we have to tell the story of our leaving, of our shift. We need to honor that chapter in our life and love it. And then we need to tell a new story about who we're going to be. I used to think the opposite of love was hate, but I actually think the opposite of love is shame. Love is all about being seen, and shame is all about being erased. We're the stories we tell about ourselves. We're the stories we tell about the world. And we are the stories that the world tells about us.
When you get to like 50 or above, you're like, hey, I've gone through all that stuff. I've experienced those things. I don't need to pretend anymore. Make sure you're making space for who you really genuinely and authentically are, because the alignment, the satisfaction and the alignment you have, your impact is just going to be that much greater. The exhaustion that you will go through to pretend to be the person you think they want you to be isn't sustainable. It isn't about money anymore.
Our aim was to get to 2 billion in assets. And we did. I enjoyed that for 5 minutes. And then immediately my mind was like, well, really, if we got to 5 billion, I caught myself doing that. It's like, well, what am I doing? There's a term called the Hedonic Treadmill. And that's what I was doing. Then when you're thinking about success, what does it mean? Leadership is to access these deeper source of wisdom that we all have access to, but also sensing into something deeper.
Through the spiritual work that you're doing, I think that the way that can be reframed is that everyone wants to be seen. Work is part of life and not the other way around. So you need to really figure out what's important to you, so that you can then figure out what work you want to do to support the life that you want to live. There is still so much more that they have to give to the world, rather than for them to think about what can I get from the world.
First, I want to connect with you. And second, I just want to share, I want to be vulnerable. I want to talk to you about what I do well. I'm also going to talk to you about what I don't do so well. The most powerful thing I can always sometimes say is, I don't know. No one wants to follow someone unless they care. You got to connect with someone. I think what we're getting at is, the lifeblood of you are not your job, and you are not your title, and you're something broader and deeper. And the true connections, whether it's in your church or your synagogue or your local golf club or your community, is foster an identity that's built on connections.
If this plane went down, my girls would not remember a single thing about me. But out of that came this real interesting question of what would I wanted them to know. Fear can be a really powerful motivator. It's really unsustainable after a while. That this, if you live in constant fear, I guess, if you have that quote from Maya Angelou, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And so hopefully the kids will forget about what I said and did, and they'll just concentrate more on how I made them feel.
The best thing as we can do as parents, right, is to work on ourselves to become better people, so that we can model, so that our kids can embody the good things, about us. Right?
There's more to life than just work. Giving and receiving love and living and sharing your life with others guarantees a life of meaning. I've really learned how fragile life is and that we can't take it for granted. It was essential not to let fear interfere with living my life to the fullest. So I was not going to let those traumas that I had gone through define me. It's as if I went to my own funeral and I didn't have to die. Life isn't measured by the number of years we live, but by the moments we treasure.
I really appreciate every single day I have. I appreciate every day I have with my spouse. I appreciate every day I have with my children. I appreciate every day I have with the businesses that I'm doing. So when things fail, and they do all the time, I sit back, analyze it, say, what can I do better next time? If it feels hard, then you're going the right way. If it feels easy, you're going the wrong way, because life is not easy. And life is going to throw challenges at you. And those challenges are the things that make life and make us who we are. There's never enough money. There's never enough fame. And when you give up that, you find out you're free. You're free from all that stuff. And for me, it is a recognition that life is beautiful, not that life is cruel. Life is difficult, and you have to take the good with the bad. If you haven't suffered tragedy, you will. And if you have been going through massively difficult times, you can get through it. And if you are not willing to accept that and to embrace it, then you can't ever be successful.
I was an educator for the last couple of years. And, every time I was helping, I was getting my personal fulfillment from that. My consulting work is what paid my bills. I got my joy from that university work, right? There was this mindset before around you get everything from your job. And I think that's no longer the case. You have to do multiple things in order to keep yourself whole, financially, from a mental health perspective, from a joy perspective, and then from a family perspective.
The motivation for regret is like a big driving factor for me. You need to get uncomfortable. You need to do these things because, that's when the satisfying stuff comes after that. I just love it when things become unpredictable again. I will have a conversation with a version of myself that's 5 years older than the version that I am now. And what would that version tell me? And inevitably always is take the chance. Otherwise, you're going to regret it.
I've learned that every time I've stepped into the void, it's forged me, right? It's made me stronger. It's taught me something, and it's transformed me. There is no prescribed way to lead an unconventional and singular life. You can look at references, you can look at people for inspiration, but most of the way you're going to find is that everyone did it their own way. So if you're not having fun doing it, why are you still doing it? It points towards developing our own metrics for success. Comparison is a fruitless way to measure yourself.